Um, Today was an interesting day. There was lots to see, lots to feel. Um, the friend that I had been talking about visiting, I know I had said a few days ago that he had passed away. Today was his funeral out in Corcoran, California, which is like 3 hours from here. So it was quite the drive. It took a long time to get there and a long time to get home, but we did it. So it was emotional just kind of watching the family mourn his loss, his friends, right, his co-workers, the people he worshipped in church with, and I have to say I was pretty impressed with the amount of people who he worshipped with that showed up to his service today. Pastor Lambert led the service, did a great job outside, which is definitely not typical of the CRC faith tradition. Typically they like to bury first and then have the memorial afterwards, and they wanted the body present at the service. And so they did a memorial service outside. One of the questions that Pastor Lambert had asked this morning or this afternoon when the service was going on was, he's like, when you're young, you don't ever think about what your last days are going to be like. He goes, and for everyone, there comes a point where they start to think like, what are my last days going to be like? And I have to say that he's right. I was sitting there because it was very hot, so we tried to stay in as much of the shade as we could, and there was a little girl playing kind of by where we were, and there was like a dragonfly flying around, landing on some of the flowers, and she would walk up and she would touch the dragonfly, and you can just see the joy in her face, right? Her family's there mourning the loss of a friend, a family member, and when Lambert said, when you're young, you don't think about your last days, I can almost promise you her parents were probably thinking that, or the people that she was there with, because funerals are the one place where our mortality becomes real for us, right? We live our lives as if like we have all the days left, right? We don't even know how many days we have. We just know in our minds, we think we're guaranteed to live to be old. And that's why, I think a lot of us get upset when kids die, or people die young, because we're like, that's not fair, they didn't get a chance to. But the reality is, none of us are guaranteed a certain amount of days. We're not guaranteed a certain amount of years. We're not guaranteed nothing. We're not even guaranteed a good life, right? And really, the scriptures tell us that when you become a follower of Jesus, you come under attack, right? Expect to suffer and receive persecution, right? That's what Jesus says, right? Why would you expect your life to be any different than his? Because you get along with people and you're not in their face about your faith. Well, then if you're not in people's faces about faith or challenging their belief systems, then you're not fulfilling the gospel, right? The whole point and purpose of Christianity is to share the gospel of Jesus Christ with people so they too can be saved. So we have to have those conversations, but if you're not having those conversations, nobody ever comes against you, right? There is no suffering, there is no persecution that comes your way, because really you're running parallel with Satan, right? You're running parallel with the enemy, rather than running perpendicular and trying to help people get better, find a better way of life. And so, but I was watching this little girl just totally be innocent, and in my mind, I'm thinking rip his wings off, right? She can touch it, rip his wings off, have fun with them. But that's just evil, right? But she was just touching it and giggling, and then it'd land again, and she'd touch it again, and it'd take off flying and come right back, and it was almost playing with her. But just to see the innocence of her in that moment, even in the face of death, it didn't faze her, right? And there were other kids that were kind of in their own little worlds too. But the reality is, at a funeral, our mortality becomes real. I think for a lot of us, we realize, no, there is a day where we're all gonna die. For real, we're all gonna die, right? You're born, And as soon as you're born, you start dying. That's the reality of it. And so, so it was interesting to kind of watch both those dynamics happening at the same time, as Pastor Lambert was talking about. When we there comes a point where we all start to think about what our last days are. And I've talked about like what I want said at my funeral, right? Like, and I always tell people, man, you have the birth year and the death year, and the dash is everything that you did, right? And like, what is it that you want to be remembered for? What is it that you want to do with that time that you have, right? And I was kind of looking around at some of the other funeral plots that were there, and there were grandmas and grandpas and moms and dads and children, like all these people. And I was kind of like counting the years and like thinking like some of these people die really close to the age that I'm at right now. And thinking about like, what if I only had 15 more years, 20 more years? Like, what am I doing with them, right? Am I making the best use of the time that I have? And it goes with the post that I put on Facebook today, right? Like, is the view you have the long view? And what I mean by that is like, when you start to look at the things that you're trying to do today, is everything that you're doing a part of the goal, the ultimate long goal that you have, right? Or is everything like short term, like instant gratification, like I'm gonna do this to get this, I'm gonna do this to get this, I'm gonna do this to get this, right? I remember when I was getting clean, my sponsor asked me, what is it that I want to do, or what is it that I want to be? And I would tell him, and what he was trying to teach me was how to have the long view, right? Like, I talked about it a week ago or so, like, it's the journey, not the end result, right? And so what he wanted me to do is have the long view. So he would say, what is it that you want to do, or what is it that you want to be? Because he would tell me that I could do anything I want to do in recovery, I just had to do the work. I can be anyone I want to be, I just have to do the work, right? And I get it, right? There's some things that some of us, because of our records or because of our history or our age, we've been phased out of certain things, right? But there's still a lot of things that are possible for people like us, right? And what I mean by that are people with records, or people that have committed crimes, that they've gone to jail or whatever. They have history with certain things, and so like there's some spaces that aren't available. But there are a lot of spaces that still are. And so what is it that I want to do? And so what he would say is, okay, what is the goal, the end result? And then what are all the things that I need to do in order to make that happen, right? So, because what it is I'm going to knock out one goal at a time, right? One thing that's necessary, one component that's necessary for the ultimate long-term goal, right? So I wanted to be a pastor. And he's like, okay, so what is necessary for you to be a pastor? And I was like, well, I need to get a degree, okay? And then what do you need to do to get a degree? Well, I need to go back to school. Okay, what do you need to do to go to school? I need to get into Delta College, okay? So a community college, okay? Well, what do you need to do to get into community college? I have to do the work of getting all my transcripts together, right? Visiting all the places that I've been, all the schools that I went to, and sitting down with the counselor and kind of going through the process of, okay, I've taken this, I still need this, this doesn't qualify, this doesn't work. What are all the things, right? And you can even make them to where, like, I want to go to this school, and I want to do this, and I want to go here, right? And so it's like, but what are all, I have to stay clean, right? I have to, and so like my sponsor broke it down to even like, well, before you even start going to school full time, let's see if you can even do this, right? And I was like, okay, what does that look like? He's like, I want you to take one class, and I want you to do it this way, right? And I'm like, okay. And so I did it, and I get an A. Okay, now let's take 2 classes, right? And what he was trying to do is teach me how to handle the steps that I needed to do in order to get to the end goal, right? Which I ended up doing, right? I do have a bachelor. I have an AA degree from Delta College. I have a bachelor's degree from Fresno Pacific University, and I have a master's degree from Fresno Pacific University Seminary. And the master's wasn't even a part of the original plan until I started to do the work necessary in the church that I was looking to be a part of, and them telling me this is what you need in order to be a part of this denomination. So I had to go to seminary and start working on that. And you know what I mean? But it was like the whole point of it was long term, right? Because at the end of the day, I don't want to get distracted by the small instant gratification goals that I set for myself today. I want to have a focal point of where I'm trying to go, and then conquer the things that I need to do in order to get there, right? The same thing I'm trying to do here. There's a certain man I'm trying to be, right? A man who holds his word, who does what he says, who, right? It's like, and that's what I try to teach people. Like, your word is your bond. Like, that's the only thing that you have, right? It's the only thing you have to offer. So it needs to be solid, right? It needs to be like iron. And so when I start to look at who I am today, or what is it going to take to get there, I started noticing there were all these empty promises I would make to people. There were all these things that I would say that I was going to do that I never did, right? And as I started to do this, I started noticing all the leaks that I have in different areas of my life, right? Well, the ultimate goal is to become the man that I needed when I was growing up. And because there's somebody else who needs that man today, right? So I need to start cleaning up all those spaces of my life that I wasn't fulfilling the things that I was saying. Not only that, but then I started to realize like how much was on my plate, and what are the things that are necessary for me to do, and what are the things that I'm doing to waste time. Because really, if you really think about it, there's lots of things that we do as people that waste time. TV is a waste of time. It really is. There's nothing productive. There's nothing that's going to put me in the position that I want to be to get where I want to go. Why do I have it? Because I like to watch it. I really like to watch football and sports. I'm watching the World Cup, you know what I mean? The Women's World Cup, right? Football season getting ready to start, and that's one of the biggest reasons why we have TV. Like, when I'm looking at TV packages, it has to have ESPN, it has to have the channels necessary for me to watch football and stuff like that. But I digress from that, right? But the reality is, like, there's nothing productive for my life that's on it. So why do I do it, right? And so when I could ultimately be doing the things that I need to be doing to get where I want to go, to becoming the man that I want. Because there's a lot of time that we waste doing that, right? To watch the soccer game today took over an hour and 15 minutes, right? So that's an hour and 15 minutes that I could have been doing this earlier in the day and knocking it out so that I'm not up at 9:45 trying to get it done. You know what I mean? But it's like those kind of things. Like, when I'm looking at my long term, am I taking care of business? Because long term doesn't have to necessarily be long term, right? It doesn't have to take me, because they say it takes 5 years to get a degree. It doesn't have to take me 5 years. What ends up happening is I get distracted and I start doing other things, and I start misplacing my priorities, and I start to say, well, I can only do 12 units right now because I got all this other stuff going on. But if I was really to eliminate a lot of those other things that waste time in my life, right, then I could get through the system faster and probably get a degree in 3.5 years, maybe 3 years, right? There's people who play college football who are in master's programs by their 4th year because they want to be able to transfer schools and not sacrifice any eligibility, right? So it's possible. Am I dedicated to my goals like that, right? Today I want to look at long term, and I want to knock out the things that I need to in order to become the man that I want to be. At the end of the day, right, I say this is about changing my family tree. And my wife was pointing out a few things to me the other day that not necessarily slacking in, but areas that I could be doing better in, right? And because there's, she's like, you could be doing this, or you could be doing that, or you could be doing this, or you could be doing that, rather than waiting for other things to fall in place that aren't, or expecting certain things to happen that aren't happening yet. There's movement you could be making in other areas to make some other things happen. And she was 100% correct, which is why I didn't say, oh, F you, screw you, whatever, you're stupid. No, like, you're right, honey. There's areas because, right, I let my guard down and I don't pay attention, and I ended up slacking in other areas that need to be addressed. And that's the ultimate reality, right? And this is why like I want to do the whole quitting sugar thing, because what it does is it forces me to be very mindful about the stuff that I'm putting in my mouth, right? I have to take the time to read labels and to ask questions, and if I'm not sure, not participate in it, right? Like it causes me to slow down when it comes to food. There's area in my life that need to slow down. There's things that I need to cut out. There's things that aren't productive for the ultimate goal that I want, and I just have because they're fun or because they make me feel good. You know, and I know there's people who are going to be like, oh, but you still need... No, I don't. No, I don't, right? You will not believe, right, on my reels, how many times things like disappear for a year and commit to all these things and see who you become in a year when you reappear, right? Disappear for 6 months and do this, and this, and see who you are at the end of them, right? Like there's the world, the God is letting me know who he wants me to be and what he wants me to do. And what he wants me to do is to focus to get where I'm trying to go. That's what it is. You know what I mean? And so I always tell you guys, man, when you have people in your corner that aren't necessarily supporting your goals or trying to talk you into doing something different, right? Or not even necessarily, but like giving you latitude for the weakness, those aren't people who love you. They're not. People who love me, and I'm telling you this from my own mouth, are the people who want to push me to get where I got to go. Those are the people who love me. Those are the people that I want in my life. I don't want people who are going to give me excuses to fail or give me room to not succeed as quickly as I could. Stop killing me, right? Like, I need people who are going to say, no, go, 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 go. My wife used to do that when I was in college, right? She'd be like, hurry up and get done. Hurry up and get done. I'm like, I can't go any faster. I'm already taking 18 units. She's like, and she's right? I could hurry up and get done. I took a year of 21 units or 21 and a half or something ridiculous, right? In my master's program. Like, she was pushing me to get done, right? She had her own agenda why she was doing it, but she still did it. You know what I mean? And like, I got done. I didn't go, oh, I'm so weak, or no, like, let's get done. And I want to surround myself with people who want to be the same way, right? Like, who don't feel like they deserve a break or don't feel like they deserve a vacation until they get where they're trying to go. Because that's the way that I want to live, right? I told my wife, we're not going on a vacation until I hit 10%. Screw that. You know what I mean? So like, the faster I get there, the faster I can enjoy those things. If I don't ever get there, then I guess I ain't getting it. You know what I mean? And so it's like, this is what we want to do. You know what I mean? And so, is your view the long view? Some people will say that's not the way to do it. You should set these small goals. You're absolutely correct. But the small goals ultimately lead me to the long view. Don't let the small goals be distractions and stuff that waver you off the path. Every goal that you set small, that you're trying to achieve a win with, stacking these wins, are ultimately leading to the place that we want to go. That's the way it should work, right? And so, at least for me, right? For me, I want them to lead me. I work the steps because I want to stay clean, because I want to become the best version of me. I read my literature because I want to eradicate the misinformation that runs through between my two ears, so I have good information to give people, right? Like, there's all these things that I do with the ultimate goal to get where I'm trying to go. And that's it. You know what I mean? Like, is your view the long view? And I hope it is, right? And if you have a misconception of what that looks like, get at me, right? Put a message in the comments in the bottom. If you disagree with me, tell me why. If you want to call me, you know how to get a hold of me, right? And if you don't, ask me and I'll gladly shoot you my number so we can talk, right? Because I want people to get where they're trying to go to. I do this to help, because not only does it help you, but it also helps me. So if nobody's told you that, God loves you, and so do I. Hope you have a great day, and God bless you.